Hello everybody and welcome to another one of our training videos. We explore different areas of leadership, and on this occasion we're going to talk about leadership traits and the importance of leadership traits. Now, in a previous video I did talk about traits, but in a different context and not to the extent I want to go over in this occasion. So the question to you, which I have, and if you could answer in the comments below, that would be amazing. What are your traits? What do you exhibit as your own leadership traits? Let's come back to that. My name is Chris Igwe. I have over 35 years experience working within 5 countries, leading, growing and developing teams across Europe, Middle East and Africa as well. In these training videos, over a few minutes, I just share with you my views and my ideas, and indeed more importantly, my experience of the core skills and requirements to be a successful leader. So, leadership traits. I guess one of the ways to look at it is a trait is essentially a quality or characteristic of your nature, the way in which you perform or behave all the time. In other words, a trait is not something which just comes and goes as and when you feel like using it. The traits have, like anything, 2 sides to them. You've got one side that could be negative and destructive, and you've got one side which is positive and uplifting. Let me give you an example. A trait, whether you're a leader or a human being, it doesn't matter, but as a leader, it could be you're a leader who is never punctual. You are never on time for a phone call, for a meeting, for a visit. You're a leader who is unreliable. In other words, you're given a deadline, the deadline passes. Someone asks you for something, you don't get it done. It could be equally that you're rude. Maybe you decide that management, by being aggressive to someone, is the way in which you want to lead. Those are aspects that people see of you, which are the negative aspects of leadership. You don't want to be seen as someone who never turns up on time. You don't want to be seen as someone who doesn't deliver. You don't want to be seen as somebody who's rude or aggressive. But those are traits. Those are ways in which you behave, because that is your normal behavioral manner. It could be somebody who interrupts all the time. So someone's speaking and you interrupt them. That's a trait. You have this incessant habit of repeating the same things. But on the other hand, let's look at the positive. These are the ones that you want to grow and develop and nourish. These are the positive traits. The ones that whatever happens, you will fall on your sword to maintain and retain these particular traits, because they are your value system. They are what you live by and live for. So I'm going to take you through a few. Initially it'll be a few that you may associate with, and then I'll come on to the ones which I most function through. Because like anything, there are strengths and not so strong, not necessarily weaknesses, but things that you are dominant with, and there are those that you are less dominant with. So I'm not going to go through each of these. You'll understand them. But here are a few which I operate under and of my value system as well. So these are part of what I see as strong leadership traits. Humble or humility, honest or honesty, compassionate or shows compassion, inspirational or inspiring, generous, and there I'm not talking about money or financial. You're generous with your time, with your effort, with your energy, and dependable, so people can depend on you. So hopefully, as a leader, you can identify with many of these. Maybe some are not as strong as you want them to be, but others you want to develop. And the reason I break it down is to basically say it's a bit like using your right hand and your left hand. Your right hand, or your left hand, depending on which way you are, is your dominant hand. Your left hand is less dominant or isn't dominant. However, if you are someone who, like me, an example, I haven't played it for a long time, but playing table tennis, I play with my right hand, but I wanted to learn to use my left hand, so I learned to play table tennis with my left hand as well. Some people are what we call ambidextrous, so they can use both hands. My daughter can use both hands in the same way to write. She writes perfectly with the left hand as she does with the right hand, but she was right-handed, and for specific reasons she taught herself to write with the left hand. So you have a dominant, and then you have another supporting tool or effort that you make. So these may be what you focus on, but I want to share with you what my dominance, because I have all of these, but my dominance are these. So for me, again, I'm not going to go through each of the words, but integrity, trustworthy or trustworthiness, empathetic or empathy, listening, being a good listener, authentic or authenticity, and being a visionary. Now those are, for me, the traits. So there are 12 there in total. But for me, those are the ones that I function most with. These ones here. They are my dominant features. The others are also informed to me. So you may say, well, you don't know what your specific traits are. Well, firstly, you have to know them, if not look for them yourself. So figure out, and it may be these, there are many others as well, but in leadership and effective and successful leadership, amongst these are the most significant and the most dominant of top leaders. Okay? So you want to focus on extracting these for yourselves and see which ones are either dominant or you want to work on to become known as. Two very quick examples. When I say nothing should ever change when you have these and you use these as your leadership skills. So on one occasion, again a few years ago, in a restructuring of the company, the business looked to reduce staff. I was asked to reduce staff in my team, and the two individuals who were selected, as far as I was concerned, were great achievers. Not necessarily today, but I saw their potential because I trained and developed them. And that's what I do. I train and develop people to become more than they expected they could be. As far as I was concerned, I was not going to let these individuals go. The company challenged me on it and said it had to be, there was no other way. What I said is, if that happens, I can't stay. I have to leave. It wasn't a bluff. I don't bluff. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. Unless there are extenuating circumstances which mean I can't fulfill that, in which case I adjust. But I don't bluff. That's not part of my leadership style. I was prepared to leave. And eventually the company knew that, they understood it, they saw that I was not going to flinch on that issue. And as it turned out, those individuals became top performers in the business. So I know my stuff, and I was prepared to fall on my sword for that. Now, some people may say that's totally crazy and ridiculous. Why would you lose your job for other members of your team? Well, for me, that could be loyalty. We could put loyalty in here as well. And the second example is the visionary part. Now, I don't necessarily call myself that, but I've grown to embrace it. And I say that because one of my greatest quotes, which I love, from a guy called Albert Gyorky, says, "Genius is seeing what everybody else has seen and thinking what nobody else has thought." Genius is seeing what everybody else has seen and thinking what nobody else has thought. Now, I make no claims to be a genius. That is not the point. It's about the fact that when you start to look for things, you can take away the curtain, the veil, lift up the top, see what's inside, and then come up with your own ideas about what that should look like. And through that, over the years, over my career, I've come up with thoughts, ideas, strategies, which even the big players in my markets were not doing or seeing, but I could see. Visionary, yes, I embrace it. I embrace it because that is part of what I see as leadership for tomorrow, let alone today. So I hope that some of this has left some nuggets for you. Please feel free to comment, like, share, and of course subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on further training videos that we'll be bringing out in the future. Thank you.